I was all alone. Like there was no other people. So I'm banging on my door until like eventually the guards did come with one of the higher ups, and they dragged me out, and like they beat me, like they beat me, like they throw me on the ground, they're stomping me out.
So my guest today is James Luckey-Lange. Did I pronounce it well?
James Luckey-Lange, that's me. Yeah.
James Luckey-Lange. James was backpacking through South America when he crossed into Venezuela and was immediately detained. He was accused of being a spy, chained, and then transferred to El Rodeo, one of the most notorious, overcrowded, and violent prisons in the world. For over a month, he had no idea if he was ever going to get out alive. Then, just 2 months ago, something completely unexpected happened. It's a wild story, and I'm so happy you're here. Welcome to the Hidden Third, James.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So it is a wild story, and I read it. There was an article in the New York Times that I read. It was about a few weeks ago, essentially. And as soon as I read it, I knew I started trying to figure out how to contact you because I was, you've been to so many of the places that I love, and then this happened to you. So I really wanted to have you on the podcast. So Sam, thank you again for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing me here. When I got the message from you, like I said, my aunt is a huge fan of yours, so I had to come on. There was no way I wasn't coming on.
She would
force
disown
me.
you.
Yeah, exactly. You know.
Thank you. Okay, James. So you grew up in New York, right?
Born and raised, yes, in New York.
Where?
Born on the Lower East Side. Me and my parents, we actually lived in like one of the oldest houses on the Lower East Side.
Huh.
From there, went up to the Bronx.
Uh-huh.
Then through certain situations, ended up living with my grandma. You know, like to say, you haven't been through anything if you haven't been forced to live with your grandma. Moved back to New York. Lived on Staten Island for a long time. And then in college, lived in Brooklyn. So I lived all over the city.
Can I ask you what led to your living with your grandmother?
My mom, she was going through a couple of things. And then my dad couldn't take care of me on his own.
Because they were divorced, or
no, they were together. They were together. My mom had to go to rehab for something, and then my dad he couldn't take care of me on his own, so he'd sent me to live with my grandma, where I was taken care of.
Hey, tell me about your mom. Like, explain to us who she was.
So she was a singer back in the 80s called Q Lazzarus, and she has a song made famous from the movie Silence of the Lambs. The song's "Goodbye Horses."
Yeah.
Yeah, she made that song, was featured in that movie.
Yeah.
Was also in like Philadelphia, a lot of the other Jonathan Demme movies. And then she like disappeared from music. She went to London, did music, and then came back. And in the documentary that was released about her, we explain it and everything about like why she disappeared and stuff.
And why did she disappear?
Essentially, she
sorry.
Yeah, it was in a relationship, and the guy had gone off and left. And she was like, "Where'd he go?" She fell into like a depression, and ended up starting to use drugs. And from there, she ended up in rehab and stuff. And that's how she disappeared from my childhood.
What was the documentary about your mother called?
Many Lives of Q Lazarus. Goodbye Horses, The Many Lives of Q Lazarus.
So she never went back to music after that?
Never went back to music until when I was in college. She had run into this woman named Ava, who actually became the director of her documentary.
Yeah.
They had a conversation, and she was driving Uber at the time, and they had a conversation in her car, and my mom felt that she could trust Ava, and told her the story. They became really close friends. It was probably my mom's closest friend before my mom passed away. And I was there for part of the journey of creating the film. And then after she passed away, kind of like became my responsibility, along with Ava, to make this film happen.
So she passed away when?
This was 2022, late July of 2022.
What were you doing at the time?
I was living in California.
So you and your mom were very close?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Was there a sense that she was she sort of mourning the life she could have had, or was she over it?
No, I would say neither. It was almost like it never really existed, or it existed in like this way where it wasn't as big as like a lot of like people like tell me it was. Of course, I don't know anything about it. You know.
You mean her success? You were super
Yeah,
young.
yeah. I
when
wasn't
she
even
was-
around. You know, this was
Yeah.
before maybe, you know, 5 to 10 years before I was born when she was doing all this stuff. So I had no idea of it just from, like I said, video games, movies, and knowing like that. But still
Right.
to this day, I've never seen Silence of the Lambs. Like my parents,
Huh.
like as a kid, they would tell me it was too scary to watch.
Hmm.
But then I realized like it is a scary movie, but really they just didn't want me to like hear the music in the movie and like ask questions and stuff like that.
And her song is the main song in that movie. It became very popular.
Yeah,
at the
because
time.
of that movie. Yeah.
When did you start sort of wanting to travel? How did that happen?
So when I was even young, like 12, 13 years old, I always knew I wanted to travel the world. And every new thing I'd get interested in, that would be like, all right, this is going to be my medium for traveling the world. Like when I was skateboarding, I was like, all right, I'm going to just go around the world visiting skate parks, you know? And then I think in 8th grade, like Wolf of Wall Street came out for me.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm just gonna make a lot of money so I can just like have enough money to see the whole world, you know? And I was like, I'm just gonna be a big businessman. You know, now it's not my lane at all.
At all.
You know? But eventually I got into like Muay Thai and I started training, fighting and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be my medium. So that like even up till now, like that's like my main thing. Like I'll go to like a country, train at a gym. If I'm lucky, I'll fight for the gym. If there's no fights coming up for the gym or they can't offer me one because, you know, they already have like their set group of fighters, then, you know, I'll just train there. And then if they need a teacher, you know, I'll also teach there too.
So when you're traveling, you're also working at the same time. So you can keep traveling.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, I did have like a lot of money from fishing, but by the time I reached
From fishing in Alaska.
which I
want to go there as well. Yeah. So you went to you went to college?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah. I went to fashion school. I went to FIT.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I
Fashion
went
school.
for textiles and fashion business. I went first for fashion business because I really wanted to get into design. And I switched over to textiles because I took a textile class while I was, you know, in business. And I was like, oh, this is definitely what I want to get into. And I loved it, you know.
Until you stayed in school.
Yeah, I stayed in school.
finished
Stayed
it,
in school, finished it out, graduated from the comfort of my couch, playing PlayStation and drinking beer because it was the pandemic.
Oh, shit.
You know?
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
And then Alaska.
Yeah,
How did that come about?
So my mom went to Alaska. She was an engineer on a salmon processing boat. She's like my mom was like really good with engines. That's why I think she became a bus driver. Even like had her own like bus tour company for a bit. And she used to, as a kid, she'd bring me to like clean up the buses and all that sort of stuff. So she's always been like good around like big engines, like, you know, diesel engines and stuff. So she was the engineer on this boat. And she told me all the stories about it, about how she like her and her friend went up there. She worked there for a little bit on the salmon processor. And then, you know, made good money. And I was like, oh, that could be like a really good starting point. Like that's my jump off point to traveling the world. The only reason I went to California was because I went there in high school. And I was like, oh yeah, you know, I'll check out California afterwards. I'll have some money from Alaska, you know, so.
But first you went to Alaska.
I went to Alaska, yeah.
And what was that like? Where were you in Alaska?
I fished out of Kodiak, but we fished all the way to like the border of Russia, like the water, obviously not the land border, but the border of Russia all the way up to like the Arctic Circle. So,
How
like
many
that
months
region.
were on a boat for?
Crab fishing, we had to catch 1 million pounds. So I was out there for 4 months straight. It was the pandemic, so we were never allowed off the boat to like deliver crab or anything like that in the small towns. We'd have to stay in the boat, and like people would come onto the boat and like unload it for us, and then captain will take us out. Then we'll clean up the boat while we're out at sea.
What is it like? Is it hard?
Oh yeah, it's rough. It's rough because when you're out there, it's just like you and the 7 guys. You know, you don't see anybody for the next 4 months. And you work like real rough. Like you work like 20 hours a day.
Wow.
And you sleep like 4 or 5 hours, wake up, do the same thing over and over again.
You guys all got along?
No, hell no. Are you crazy? No. We didn't get along. I got along with 2 of the guys, Brian and Steve. Steve Branson, great guy. Love him. And then,
what about you bugged the other guys?
A black kid from New York, you know, coming up there and fishing, you know, that was the main thing.
How much money do you people do it because you make good
it
money,
pays
right?
good, yeah.
Can I ask you how much?
I made about like 60 grand just from that boat
For 4 months?
Yeah, because crab started out at like $1 a pound. But by the time we got back, like crab that season had gone up to like $5 a pound. And then on top of that, like I got a bonus as well for finishing up cleaning up the boat. But I had to sue for that bonus because they weren't going to give it to me because they were like, oh, he's already gone. Like we're not going to give it to him.
Wow.
So yeah.
And so so it depends on how much crab you catch. But the
Right.
60K that you make, you're not paying for anything, right? You're like, it's
Yeah, that's like your money. You just have to
Right.
pay your taxes. Like
Right.
all the gear that you've worn for that season, like the boat's already taken that out. All the food on the boat, that's already been taken out. All the fuel for the boat, that's already been taken out. So it's all yours.
So what did you do after Alaska? Did you like it, by the way? Was it fun?
Oh yeah,
experience?
I had a great time. Like I had a great time out there at sea. I had a great time on land, like training and getting fights and stuff, fighting for this gym up there. It was amazing.
So you just spend time at sea, then come back on land and play and
train,
fight
yeah.
Muay Thai,
And-
Muay
yeah.
Thai.
Actually, I was boxing up there. I was
Oh.
training a lot of Muay Thai, a lot of kickboxing. But it was really it could be so regional. A lot of the fights I got up there were boxing.
So you box as well.
Yeah, it all comes together. Like you,
Yeah.
I kind of got to get what I can get.
And you were making money for this.
Actually, I did
gig?
I did get paid for the fights up there in Alaska.
You did?
Yeah.
Like how
yeah.
much?
Like $100
For if you won?
It's
or
like it's $100 to fight, $100 to win.
were these
so
like
you-
backyard fights, kind of considered
Dude,
backyard?
this is like the downtown arena in Anchorage, and
Oh.
it's gnarly though because you can get like I think they were called Thursday night fights. You can have like the farmer fighting like a guy with like a couple pro fights, but then like the farmer like outweighs him by 100 pounds, so he just like clobbers him.
So this is all above board, like official.
I think so.
public?
I have no idea.
Wow, that sounds kind of fun. Would people go and watch?
Yeah, people go win and watch. Like Brian, the guy I was fishing with, he went and watched me fight.
Huh.
Couple friends I had made while in Anchorage came to watch me fight.
Huh. Did you win a bunch of them or mostly little?
I won 2, lost 1. Yeah,
1, 2, lost 1.
and
So
I had the flu. I had the flu during that fight. So
the one you lost.
yeah. So and now I still was a good fight though.
So my favorite bakery just down the road from the studio is always packed. I go there almost every morning, usually when I'm in a rush to get to work. But even though it's super popular, somehow the checkout process is always fast and always easy. No waiting around for scans or receipts. And I always wondered why. I recently realized that it's because they use Square. Square is a system that helps you run your business seamlessly. Payments, inventory, staff, scheduling, online orders, reports. Square brings all of that into one place. And it works so well that businesses using Square Online earn 36% more revenue on average. Whether you're selling lattes, cutting hair, detailing cars, or running a design studio, Square helps you run your business without running yourself into the ground. No contracts, no hidden fees, no complicated installs, just tools that accept every major payment method and make your life so much easier. If you're starting a business or running one that deserves better tools, Square helps you sell, manage, and grow without slowing down. So, right now, you can get up to $200 off Square hardware at square.com/go/hidden third. That's SQUARE.com/GO/hidden third. Run your business smarter with Square. Get started today. When did the South America trip?
So I started out in the Bahamas, in the Caribbean, went around the Caribbean, the Bahamas.
And by this point, you had the money that you'd made, right?
Yeah, from Alaska. And then my mom had passed away, so that like the life insurance from that, and then just had it all compiled to start this journey.
Can I ask you how were you prepared? Was it expected? How did you deal with the passing of your mother?
Oh, that was typical Black woman in America dying, doctor malpractice. My grandma had died from doctor malpractice. She had this doctor for decades. He retired, got a new doctor. He changed her medicine, and passed away like within a month. Wow. And then my mom died from doctor mishandled the wound. She went in for a broken leg while doing the documentary and stuff. She ended up breaking her leg. She fell down the stairs, and he didn't clean the wound properly. So she ended up catching sepsis underneath the wound and passed away from that.
No
So like,
way.
so like I didn't even go back home because I didn't think my mom was in bad shape. She was like, oh yeah, broke my leg. I'll be okay. I was like, okay, mom. And then like I get the call from like my aunt. It's like, oh, you got to come back home. Your mom passed away. Yeah. So
Were you in Alaska?
No, I was in California
You
at
were
the
in
time.
California at the time.
Yeah.
How old was your mom?
Early 60s, 62 or 61. Yeah.
So completely unexpected.
Yeah. It just wasn't supposed to happen.
Did you guys sue the doctor or?
No, because the coroner like had put like died in natural causes, and then it would have become such a big thing. Like it wasn't really possible to sue. It I don't want to say like I do want to say like they kind of have like each other's backs when it comes to that. Like the
coroners,
the coroners, the doctors, like the industry in general, sort of.
So you were close to your mom?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And how did this affect you?
Oh, it's super sad. But it affected me differently than when my dad died. With my mom, it's like I took over like for like the documentary and stuff like that, and like releasing her music and stuff. So it's like it's kind of like she's still here, sort of, and everybody like a lot of people know who she is. So I always talk to people about her and stuff like that, So
she feels very present in your life in a way.
Super. It feels like I can just like call her up and be like, "Oh, you're not gonna believe all this stuff I've been going through." Doesn't really feel like she's gone.
And your dad passed away when?
Oh, that's the story right there, though. He passed away back in August.
This past August. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, this past August.
So not very recent.
Yeah. It was like, so when I found out, I was down in Patagonia, like stuck. Like I'd just left the Chilean side of the Patagonia, and I was trying to get a bus or anything to leave, but it was like the down season. It was summer, so it's like their winter, and like there was like no ins and outs like with public transportation. So I was like hitchhiking to get out. It was me and my dog, and then we get towards. Are you like familiar with the like Patagonia like that?
I've never been to Patagonia. No, my husband has been and is constantly wanting to take me and my son there. Yeah, I
would say Chilean side. Chilean side's the beauty side.
Yeah,
and
really.
Like,
yeah.
If you go farther north, like on the Argentina side, it's really nice. But the south of Patagonia in Argentina, it's like the nicest stuff is looking over at the Chilean side. Like it's like desert shrubs like a foot high. But I was trying to trek out of there with my dog, and then my dog ended up eating like some poison. He passed away, so I had to like bury my dog.
Where?
In Patagonia, in like a field, like in this small town called Rio Mayo.
Did you travel with your dog down there, or was
I've been traveling with my dog since Alaska.
No way.
I got him in Alaska. We came throughout, so he's seen all the way north to all the way south, and that's where he passed away.
What dog was he?
He was a husky border collie. So he had mostly husky features, but he was like the size of a border collie.
What was his name?
Okami.
So sad. So then you had to bury him. Were you alone at the point?
Yeah. So we were in like the middle of nowhere.
You and the dog. You and Okami.
Yeah. So you hear things about in Latin America like farmers leaving out poison for like stray dogs to kill off like the population. I heard a lot about that in like Central America, Guatemala and stuff. But I was so far removed from hearing those stories that I was so far removed from like civilization when he ate the poison. I wasn't even thinking about it. So he ate it, and he started convulsing and all that sort of stuff. And I had to like run with him back to the town to like the vet to like try to get help for him. And they were like, "Oh yeah, we can't help him." So I had to bury him. They were like, "Oh yeah, we could throw him in like the trash incinerator."
What?
I was like, "You're not going to throw my dog in the trash incinerator."
But did they try to actually save him, or they just said, "No, there's nothing we can
Honestly, do"? I don't think they really tried to save him. They didn't have the medicine. They were like they were wasting so much time. I'd have to go to like the next town, which is like hours away by car, to like get the right medicine for him. So it was just like
he was gonna die anyway.
He was gonna die, yeah. So he passed away like while I was holding him, and I had to bury him. And then on my way out of there, I get like the call. Like I'm in a hotel. I get the call like, "Oh, you got to come home. You know your dad's dying." So then I had to go home to my dad, and he's in the hospital, and he passes away too.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it was rough.
Was he sick?
Yeah, just years of, like not taking care of himself. Old school guy stuff. Just yeah, drinking and alcohol and never going to his doctor's appointments. My mom would always have these doctor's appointments for him, and she would have to drag him there. And then when my mom passed away, I'd set up the doctor's appointments. He would never go. So it was like, what's the
What was
what's
he
the
like?
point? Really smart. As when we were, because of the alcohol, like as a kid, like he could be like abusive and stuff. But that kind of went away when I got bigger than him.
Hmm.
But like a really smart, really knowledgeable. Really just spent all his days just reading and research and stuff. That's how he spent his time.
He was a big drinker always.
Yeah, and then he kind of kicked it when I got to college. But people would always tell me, he's sneaking and stuff like that, and he was sneaking and drinking.
Are you an only child?
So I have like an adopted sister, sort of.
Younger?
Older.
Oh.
She's my cousin on my dad's side. But then my family took her in.
Got it. Was your dad proud of you?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. They were so proud of my sister when I was a kid, because I was like messing up in school, not doing my homework right, skateboard instead. But as soon as like I got older, they're like, oh, we're so proud of you. I became like the golden child.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I like to say that. Yeah.
So you obviously miss your dad a lot.
Yeah. Him, yeah, it feels like more like he's gone. Because there's less. I don't like log into Instagram and like see his face. So.
Yeah. And then you went back out right after. Did you?
Yeah, and then went back out. I came back home. Took care of that, and then went back out. And by then I had seen pretty much all of the Americas except for like the eastern half of South America, so Brazil and the Guyanas and Venezuela, and I had to go to Paraguay too.
So you'd seen, which countries had you seen then?
Have I seen?
Which countries had, yeah. Which,
So
which countries have you seen? Yeah.
Started off in the Bahamas. From there, went to Haiti. No, sorry, Dominican Republic, then Haiti, then Cuba, Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, this entirety of Central America, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, Ecuador. And keep going.
Yeah. Go.
Peru, Bolivia, Chile, Argentina.
How much time were you spending in each of these countries, more or less, on average?
At least, I like to spend. When I started, I was like at least a month in each place, and then sometimes I didn't be in a place for like months, and then like ended up being 10 months in Nicaragua, and then some places I'd all right, I spent so much time there, I got to like catch up on my journey. So like 2 weeks here,
Do you speak Spanish?
I can. Oh, you're gonna test me?
No, I promise I'm not.
Yeah. I can, but the only reason, like, I was telling your guys, when I ended up in Venezuelan prison, I was in a situation I had never conceived of. So like, I didn't have the words to help me, or have the words to even explain to. It didn't matter what I said anyway. They're gonna throw me in prison regardless. But I didn't have the words to explain, anything. So they gave me a translator and stuff like that.
Did you? But you learned while you were traveling? Is that when you started learning?
Yeah, completely
Spanish?
while I was traveling. Yeah.
And so you would stay at least a month. In Nicaragua, you stayed more, 10 months.
10 months.
Why?
I got stuck. Spending too much money, so I had to stop, make some money. This is around the time like my mom's documentary was really being finished, and we were trying to create the album and stuff. So I needed like a home base to like really sit down and like work. But when I was in Nicaragua, I had my own gym. Was teaching Muay Thai to the locals for free.
Oh, fun!
I'd charge the expats and the tourists. I was like a guide up the volcano. Have the quickest time for ascending and descending, 4 hours in 5 minutes, but we're saying 4 hours flat.
Which of all the countries you went to did you like the most? Right? People ask me all the time this question, and I actually hate that question, so I thought I'd put it on to you.
I don't hate the question. I'm just, my favorite country, like Cuba, and if it can't be that, Mexico or Brazil. Those are the top three.
Why can't it be Cuba? Let's make it Cuba. It's
Oh,
awesome.
I mean, it can be.
I've been to
but
Cuba
like,
too.
if
It's
I
amazing.
can't say Cuba, I'll say Brazil or Mexico.
Yeah, I love Brazil and Mexico. Those are all three of my faves too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time in both Mexico and Brazil, and I speak Portuguese as well.
Right. Yeah,
so
I can.
obviously
Yeah,
Brazil
I can
is
imagine.
like it's like my adopted country. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you end up then in make your way up from Brazil, and then then Patagonia, you came back, and then you went back where after you came back from
So
the
after Patagonia,
you came here,
went-
and then you went back to Patagonia again.
no, I'd gone to Brazil, and then like because it was cheaper, and then just went back into like Uruguay and Paraguay, and then came back into Brazil, and then I had to come up for like a concert, like a benefit concert for my mom. So I just stayed in like the south of Brazil, and then when I flew back, I explored the Amazon, the north of Brazil, and all that sort of stuff.
And up until that point, before you crossed into Venezuela, what had been the craziest thing that had happened to you?
Oh, there's too many. There's too many. Like it depends on like who you ask. I've stayed in south of Peru. I stayed in a refugee camp, and that's how I kind of got accustomed to like a lot of the stuff I'd see in Venezuela, because obviously a lot of the refugees were Venezuelan. So I talked to them about that.
You talked to them about going to Venezuela when you were still planning on.
No, I talked to them about like their experiences there, in Venezuela. I'd been to Haiti, so like Haiti is at the time I had gone in like the middle of Port-au-Prince. It was pretty rough, pretty bad.
Gangs,
violence. But like just kids, like 14, 15, with like some of the most insane weaponry you'll see. On the back of like scooters and motorcycles, and then every night it was just boom, 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 boom. Every night, cars on fire and stuff.
Hey everyone. So I have something really important I wanted to share with you all. For more than 20 years, I've gone to places that most people would never willingly step into. Cartel territory, scam compounds, trafficking networks. And what I've learned is that the most important stories are the hardest ones to share. Not because people don't want to watch these stories, but because corporations, advertisers, and algorithms now decide what gets made and what doesn't. The hidden third exists outside all of that. No network censorship, no sponsor conflicts, no compromises. And the only way to keep it that way is to build it directly with you. That's why I created the Hidden Third Patreon. Bonus episodes, behind the scenes from the field, early access to new episodes, a direct line to me and the reporting as it happens, and much, much more. If you're still watching this right now, you're exactly who I built this for. So join us at patreon.com/thehiddenthird. The link is below. And now, back to the conversation. Okay, so tell me about then crossing from Brazil to Venezuela. Did you know that it was what had you been told about Venezuela at that point?
So a lot of it I've got, like, you meet Venezuelans in every country you go to, refugees and all the sorts. And then like, I would sit there and talk with them, but I never got the idea that it was government down, like top down oppression. Like I always thought it was they were suffering from like gang violence and that sort of stuff, and which every country you go to, that's the first thing they tell you. We're the most dangerous place in such and such. Like even here in the U.S., like everybody like likes to tell you they're from the worst place on earth. That's people get a sense of pride from that because it shows that they come from something that's not a lot of people come from.
Right.
So I was used to those stories. So I didn't know that they were going through such a thing with the government's like kidnapping people, and stuff like that. And of course, being in bad places, well, that could happen anywhere, So I was like, I went in there the same way I'd gone to every other country, Yeah.
And what was that morning? So you woke up in the morning, and then what
so
happened?
I woke up that morning, took the bus to the border town of what is it? I forget the name of the town, but on the other side is Santa Elena, and I was got food, and all that sort of stuff, put in my bag, and I asked a taxi guy. I was like, hey, can you bring me to the immigration office? He was like, yeah, sure.
So at this point already in Venezuela.
No. This is
still in Brazil.
No, this is still in Brazil.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that he's going to bring me to like the border. He ends up bringing me to the first town in
Venezuela.
Venezuela, which is Santa Elena. And I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe the immigration office is here. You get different countries have immigration offices in different places. You'll have like an immigration office in on the frontier. You'll have an immigration office in the first town,
Right.
in across the border. Then you have an immigration office, and miles down the road.
Right.
So I was like, all right, maybe the immigration office is here. So I walk around the town asking. They're like, no, you have to go all the way back to the border. I'm like,
Oh, shit.
okay. So like now I'm like, all right, let me go back to the border. But it's too late. I had to go the next morning. So I go back the next morning. There's like this checkpoint, and I'm like, all right, well, I went to this checkpoint yesterday. It shouldn't be a problem on the back of the bike. But now I'm walking. The guy lets me go, and then the guy sitting down at like this cabin, he's like, oh no, come over here. So I go over there. They take my passport. They go through my stuff, and they sit me down. They give me a cup of coffee. And I'm just sitting there waiting. And maybe like an hour goes by. A truck comes over because there's a military base on the side, and the guy's like, all right, well, you got to come with us. You got to come to the military base. He's just a regular higher up in the military, just regular Venezuelan military, but he has two like masked agents with him. Those were DGCIM agents.
They were what?
DGCIM. That's like their military counterintelligence agency that they, have there.
So kind of like the FBI?
I would say probably more
Or
like
Homeland Security?
military counterintelligence, maybe like CIA.
Military. Okay.
I don't know, maybe CIA. So they bring me into like this little office, like probably like the size of this area we have it right here. And they sit me down. They asked me about my boots. They're like, oh, those are military style boots. They're just like regular, hiking boots. I guess like in some countries, like I've seen military guys like wear those for their boots. So I was like, dude, like these aren't military boots. I'm just a regular guy. They were like, oh, we think you're a spy. Just threw that out there very nonchalantly, kind of like laughing. I can see like them laughing underneath the masks and stuff. Go through my stuff again. I have like a bunch of my friend's stuff from Suriname. She had like all these maps of Suriname and like all these different things. They were like, oh, why do you have these maps? I was like, those aren't even mine. Those are my friends, And they were like, oh, what are these maps for? They're like overlapping the maps, like trying to find like hidden messages in the maps and stuff. And I'm like, dude, there's nothing there,
So at this point, you weren't super worried. You just thought that this is.
I just thought like I just got caught up in something. This is the first time I've ever been searched like all my travels, which like I was thinking to myself like, how fortunate, because like you hear stories all the time like, oh, they went through my stuff, and I've never gone through that in like 3 years of travel. So I was like, I'm very fortunate. This is like the first time I've ever gone through this. So they sit me down. Don't tell me anything for like hours. Night falls. They bring me deeper into the military base and put me up into like a barbershop. They have like a little mattress on the floor and stuff like that.
Like a barbershop inside the military
like
base?
the military barbershop where they do the haircuts and stuff. They put the mattress on the ground, sit me there. And I'm talking to like the older guy, like the higher up that originally escorted me over to the military base. And he's telling me like, oh, we don't have corruption here. Like this is like the great. He's giving me all the propaganda. This is the greatest country on earth. We don't break human rights here. He's telling me all this sort of stuff. And then there was this woman, soldier. She came over. She spoke English, and I was talking to her. And she was like, oh, you're lucky we got you, because if the police got you, they wouldn't have, given you food. And, she gave me like this sort of stew, for dinner, ate that. And I was like, well, so what's happening? Like, what are you guys going to do with me? And they were like, we're going to let you go tomorrow. So the next morning comes, shooting the breeze with all the soldiers. I'm like one of the only Americans like they've probably ever seen in their whole life. So everybody's coming over to like look at me like it's like the zoo or something. They escort me back into like that small office. Oh, well, outside that small office that I was in the previous day. And the two DGCIM agents who didn't have their masks on, like who had their masks on, they were like unmasked and in plain clothes now.
Hmm.
And trying to pretend to be other people, but it was so obviously
That it was
them.
the same
Like
guys.
one of the guys was like missing a finger. I was like,
Mhm.
dude, you're the same guy from yesterday. Like, obviously. They put me in like a pickup truck and they brought me to there's like a hangar, like a small
Hmm.
airport for bipolar planes and small planes like that. Um, and they put me on a plane. One of the agents comes with me, and they bring me to
Wait, and at this point, what were they telling you? Like they
nothing.
weren't
That
nothing.
yeah.
And when you asked the woman what they were going to do to you, she didn't say anything. She just said like you're lucky it's not the police that has you, but that she didn't say you're under arrest or you're being detained. Nothing, just no information.
Right. Well, I only seen her once or twice.
Mhm.
She wasn't really part of my situation. She was just coming over to say hi, basically.
But she was the one who spoke English.
Right. She spoke English. But at this time, I'm not like being faced with anything like I don't know, like in Spanish. Like I'm shooting the breeze with like
In Spanish, okay.
higher up, this guy in the military. Obviously, I had a little bit of trouble when they were accusing me of stuff the previous day in the office. But
Where they said that you were a spy, and you
Right.
immediately said, "No, I'm not a spy. I'm just
Yeah.
traveling around
Right.
Latin America."
Well, they said we think you're a spy in English. Like as if they were practicing,
Mm.
which was so funny. Like they were just speaking in Spanish, but they said that in
Hmm.
English. I was like, okay. They bring me to this. They put me in the bipolar plane, bring me to the town of Guayana. It's Ciudad de Guayana, and
In Venezuela.
in Venezuela. They take me out, and I'm asking the guy like, "Oh, where are we?" And he lies to me. He says, "Oh, you're in Caracas." I'm like, "Okay, well, these guys are lying." There's a huge sign right there that has the name of the city
Yeah.
we're in. For some reason he's lying to me. And then they cuffed me for the first time, hands behind my back, and at the time I had like blonde hair. They put me in the car. They're like, "Oh, why is your hair like that?" I was like, "Just something to do," you know. They bring me to the DGCM office, and that's when they like really start questioning me. They put me in a room for I don't know, about 5 minutes, and like I like moved my cuffs to like the front because like it was like really hurting me, and I was just like, this is just BS. Like I'm over this. Like I don't even know. Like you told me I was going home today, and like you bring me here instead. They bring me into another room. They have like a translator, and they have a guy who spoke better English than the translator. So I don't know why the translator was there. And they had a guy dictating the conversation that didn't know how to type. So it would go. The guy who spoke English would ask his question in English. Then the translator would say it to me, but it's like I already know what he's saying,
Mm.
So I would answer the question. They would accuse me of being a spy. I'd say I'm not a spy. They'd say, "You're bullshitting us. We know you're a spy." And it's like I'm not a spy. I'm just a regular guy. They were like, "Am I working with any sort of counterintelligence agencies or anything like that?" It's like, no, I'm not doing any of that. And the whole time they're asking me these questions 3 or 4 times in a row because the guy who's dictating doesn't know how to type, so he has to keep on typing. So it was like very incompetent, and it was very. I was more aggravated than scared. I was just like, this is such
You
a
were
waste of
annoyed.
time. I was
Yeah.
annoyed.
Yeah.
The guy had dictating. He moved. They brought another guy. He couldn't type. They were still trying to get this dictated up, trying to show some sort of professionalism, and it was so aggravating. Plus, these guys are so young. The guy who's my translator had to be like 18 years old,
Hmm.
and he's just trying to show the other guys that he's like the man, like he's tough. So every time they'd say something, in English, he'd be like, "Oh, wait, let me translate." It's like he's speaking English, like I know what he's saying, yeah, And even if he wasn't, like it doesn't. He speaks better English than you, so like, it's not like
Right.
you're going to be able to translate, and I understand you,
Mm.
And then he was getting frustrated, like sporadically. I was only there for like an hour. They sporadically bring me to the airport again, bring me to the tarmac, put me on a private plane. I look to my left. It's a family's private plane. It's like a mom, a grandma, and like a kid,
Weird.
And
And you're in
they,
handcuffs still?
yeah, and they commandeered me. They commandeered the plane, and they brought me on to like be brought to Caracas, actual Caracas.
Mhm.
So it's the translator, and there's like a DGCM agent. They bring me in and then like every time like I look to my right to like the cockpit, they're like, "Don't look, don't look." They're as if I know how to fly the plane,
That's so
they really wanted me to be a spy. I was like, I'm not a spy, um they I think they just want to go home, like tell their wives like they caught a spy, tell their higher ups they caught a spy, so they can get some sort of notoriety. They bring me to the to Caracas, and then it's about 45 minutes till like a car comes to pick us up, and I have to use the bathroom. And I'm just like, I have to use the bathroom. Like, can I use the bathroom? They're like, oh, we have to use the bathroom too. I was like, all right, so can we all just go use the bathroom? But because I asked, it's a problem. Like, if they were to bring me to the bathroom, it'd show that they're not in control. It was so, it was just so sad, like to see this kid like really try to take control of the situation. This 18-year-old kid, you know, and like I was like, dude, I'm just gonna go use the bathroom. And like the agent was like ignoring the kid, so I use the bathroom. The agent comes in to use the bathroom too. The kid comes in, he has to use the bathroom too, and he like, he's so aggravated. He's like, pees and he gets out. He's just like, he's so upset that I'm not listening to him. I'm just like, dude, like, relax. Like, I'm in handcuffs. Like, there's nothing I can do. He's like, you got to stand here. And if I don't stand like right there in that exact area, he's angry. He's like, you got to listen to me. You got to listen to me.
So it was like an amateur show. The whole thing.
Yeah, and like the agent's not even paying attention to him. The agent, like the guy with the gun, like the guy who actually like, he's just like, whatever. The car comes, we get in, they bring me to the DGCM headquarters, and like on the car ride, I start feeling bad for him. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I was like, because I get it. Like, he's just trying to.
Oh, so you start feeling bad for the 18-year-old.
Yeah, I was like, he's just trying to,
because you were being you were being annoyed. You were annoyed at him.
Yeah,
so you were not
I started being like rude, like on purpose, like so I was like, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Nice.
I
I feel bad for him. And then like we started talking, all three of us. Like, I started like teasing him, and I was like, "Oh, you guys ever been to your nation's capital before?" They were like, "No." I was
they
like,
had never been to Caracas.
No, never been to Caracas. I was like, "You're welcome." I said, you guys wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me, And then we get to the DGC. They sit me down. The kid is like, he's like, just do what I say, dude. He's like, don't worry. He's like, I got you. Yeah, I was like, okay, pal.
So now you felt like he was on your side, or pretending?
No, he's not pretending. He's like trying to be like, he's like, you're not such a bad guy, that type of thing. So I got to DGC, went through all that stuff. They took the laces out of my shoes and everything like that. And then they brought me into sort of this big room. And if you talk to anybody that's been through any sort of process in Venezuela, police process in Venezuela, or criminal process, they're going to tell you about this room. Or just tell you about this headquarters in general. Every person I've ever talked to has been through this place. They sit you in a corner and they make you face the wall as if you're like a child on timeout. And I thought that was so silly. Like, as soon as they sat me down, I was just waiting for them to leave, and I turned the chair around. But then they brought in these guys who were like soaking wet. They had obviously just gotten out of the shower, and they brought them in, and they're shivering because it's cold in there. They sit them down, and like, these are grown men. Like, they just sit down and they face the corner, shivering. And I was like, they're breaking these guys here. I was like, how can you just sit here and look in the corner? Like why? Usually you spend a long time in that room, but I only spent 5 minutes in there. That's because normally they take you and they send you down to like the basement, where like that's where a lot of the Venezuelan people go. They get sent there and they stay there for maybe a month or two, and then that's when they might get sent to Rodeo. You might get sent to Yarde. You might or two, or all the different prisons. After they sat me in the room, all the guys are looking in the walls and stuff. They bring me out to the hallway and they give me the blue uniform, tell me to put it on. They're still trying to make me take off my underwear, but I'm not doing it. They give me the uniform. They sent me into solitary. So it's just like a white room, maybe like 7 feet by 7 feet or so, camera in there, toilets in there. And I sit there overnight, what I would imagine, because I don't know how long I was in there for. What I would say was the next day, like, I'm like, all right, why am I still here? Like, they told me I was going to go home basically 2 days ago. Why am I still here? So I start banging on the door. I'm like trying to get information. Like, no, you need to stop. Like, stop now. I'm like, fuck you, I'm not stopping. Like,
who was saying that? The other
guys? The guards. I was all alone. Like, there was no other people. So I'm banging on my door until like eventually the guards did come with one of the higher ups, and they dragged me out, and like they beat me. Like, they beat me. Like they throw me on the ground, they're stomping me out, and
Like
then
kicking you and punching
kicking
you?
me, stomping me, punching me, like foot in the neck stuff, like all that stuff, like you
Shit.
hear all that. Um, chain me up, my hands behind my back, and like shackles, uh, and then like a rope that goes around like your waist that they tie, almost like a what do they call, like a strap that you strap the back of like gear on the back of a truck. They tie that around my waist and tie that to the
Shit.
my cups and my
Chains.
chains, basically, yeah. And they throw me back into the cell, and then I have a conversation with the guy, the higher up. He speaks English poorly, but he's talking to me. He's like, we're going. He's like, I'm happy you're doing this. We're gonna do this for you. It's good training for my guys. You know, every time, you know, you get defiant, like, you know, we're gonna hit you. We're gonna beat you. And then, you know, he starts talking about his time in America because he had spent time in like Memphis or something as a kid for some reason, and he had learned English here. He had went to school here. He's like, I understand your country. He starts talking about like the differences of Venezuela. He was like, here in Venezuela, we don't have discrimination, and we don't we take care of our human rights, and we are not breaking your human rights or anything. He's like, we don't even have racism here in Venezuela. He's like, I know, I was in the U.S. I know the racism that they do there, the things that they would call me while I was there. And then, you know, we finish the conversation and stuff. He goes away, and then a guard comes back and calls me nigger 4 times in a row. I was like, first of all, I already knew Latin America has just as much racism as, you know, the U.S. and in some parts more, you know, depending on where you are. And I was just like, I didn't even get offended. I was like, thanks for the clarification.
Right. Also,
you know?
he says we don't break human rights here, but he just beat the shit out of
you. Yeah, with like 7 or 8 guards, you know?
Yeah.
So
at this point, are you so scared?
I don't know. At this point, like I'm still, it was such a time thing for me. Like I was just like, I don't want to waste time here, you know? Like I feel like I'm wasting time here. Like this is, because I'm not a spy, you know, nothing's going to come back that I'm a spy. Like they're not going to be able to verify anything of me being a spy or anything like that, or me being a terrorist or anything like that. So I was like, it's just a waste of time, you know?
And you were thinking sooner or later they're going to figure this out.
Yeah,
let me know,
yeah.
But you're just hoping it's sooner rather than
exactly. You know, I know they're wasting my time. I just need them to realize that they're wasting my time, you know, and be like, it's a waste. Realize it's a waste of their time too, you know.
Are you hurt when they beat you up?
Oh yeah. Like I have like nerve damage in like both my arms from this.
From that particular beating.
Mostly from being chained up, because it gets worse. But so I'm in my chains, right? And like I can like move around. I can like if my hands are behind my back, but it's like, all right, I can like feel like the knot on the rope. So like I'm like untying it, and like I get out of my chains. But there's a camera in my cell, and they come in, beat me again. This happens over the. I'm there for about 3 or 4 days. This happens for over the time of like 3 or 4 days, over and over and over again.
They keep on coming in and
keep on coming in, dragging me out, beating me, throwing me back in, tying me up. He comes back in. This is good training for my boys. At this point, I'm just trying to be defiant, just because of how frustrated I am, how aggravated. I was really more aggravated than I was scared up to this point.
How are you being defiant?
Just breaking out of my chains, like breaking out of the constraints was enough for them to come in to beat me. But it was so, you got to realize it was like about 3 or 4 days. I can't do anything with my arms. I can't even sleep with my arms behind my back. Like just the pain you feel. The first time they did it, I had a panic attack, you know. I was like my heart started racing. Like it's cold in there, but I was breaking out in this full body sweat. And I like, the only way I can like feel better was like if I sat down on like that toilet and like put my head through down to my knees, and that was the only way I felt better.
Like felt better as in
like
I felt like,
like I felt like a relief. Like I felt like I was gonna like have a heart attack, or like just throw up everything, or like have diarrhea or something. Like that's how bad it was. Like in full body sweat. Like you could see like just my shirt, like this sort of like sky blue jumper that they give you. I'm just like sweating through it, you know. And like I was like feeling dehydrated. I haven't had in my whole time there any water, any food, or anything.
Whoa.
You know, I've like being a fighter, like you go through weight cuts and stuff, so like you felt like dehydration, sort of starvation and stuff before on the wave of getting to weight for your fight. So I was used to that, but like to go through that for days, because you could still sip water when you're cutting weight and stuff, but there was no water, there was no food, and then you're chained up, had panic attack, you break out your chains, they chain you up, they beat you, chain you up again, throw you back in the cell. It was bad. I could feel my kidneys, I could feel like my spine, every organ. I could feel the outline of every organ in my body. I could feel my heart beating. I could feel like my brain in my skull. Like my eyes were completely dry. My lips like super chapped. Like my lips were bleeding. Everything. Because getting punched in the face while, your lips are chapped. It was all beat up. It was bad. And then the fourth day comes. They have my stuff in their hands. They throw it in the cell. They're like, "You're getting out today." Like, I'm like, "Oh, thank God." They unchain me and everything like that. And then like I put my stuff on and they're like, "All right, we're going to come back to get you." 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours goes. And like, I'm just standing there like, yeah, I'm not going home today. Like, even if they did come in to get me, like, I'm not going home. Like, they've lied to me at least like 2 or 3 times already about me going back. And I was like, it's not happening. So a guy comes. He's like, I think I describe him as like this sort of like Latino Nazi. Like he's like very clean cut, very aggravated type of guy. Feminine, very clean, military style guy. Sort of like the Nazi stereotype, he comes in, he's already coming with me. I think this is like a higher up on DGCIM. They bring me into like this small room. Finally, are starting to like do like the deeper prison stuff. Like they mask me, throw me in the back of a car, and like this is like the only time like where like real fear has gotten to me. Like I'm not frustrated anymore. Like I'm scared for my life. Cause like I'm like, oh, they're gonna bring me to like one of those black sites and kill me,
Shit.
So I'm like, all right. They bring me through the yard of Rodeo 1, and like it's hot that day. Like the sun's like I know I'm in a big courtyard, I could just like sense it, and like the sun's just beating down on me, and they bring me into a room and they sit me down on my knees. I'm like, all right, well, this is probably like where they're gonna execute me, and then like they take the hood off and they start shaving my head, and then they sit me down in a chair while they're shaving my head, and like there's like 2 guys, like a panel almost, like writing paperwork on me and everything, asking me questions about my notebook, about I had a journal that I would write my travels in, and then I had a notebook where I would outline my articles I'd post about stuff about different countries. They went to my phone, asked me about my aunt, about my family, about different people, friends, and stuff like that. Asked me about the maps again, asked me about the boots again, all that sort of stuff while they're shaving my head. But while they're shaving my head, I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, they're not going to kill me. They're going to just throw me in another prison. I'm like, all right, so I got to deal with the process some more. I'm not going to die. So when I realized I wasn't going to die, I'm just talking shit again. They bring in a translator named Javier. He's Middle Eastern. I think he's either Yemenis or Lebanese. And he's a fellow prisoner. Bring him in to be my translator. Old guy. He's a Muslim man. He walks around with
The beads.
the beads, with the Muslim.
Yeah, the prayer beads.
Pearl beads. Yeah.
Does he speak?
Speaks English,
fluently.
Spanish. This guy becomes my translator because at this point, like, I really need a translator. Like, my Spanish wasn't. Wasn't getting nowhere. But really, nothing was gonna get me anywhere. All right. So he comes in. He has asked me all these questions about my stuff, and he's like, don't worry. He's like, things are gonna be good. Don't worry, man. He's like, you're gonna be fine. Don't worry. And me and him, we sort of become friends over the time. So I spent about maybe like an hour with him, and the Nazi questioned me and stuff. Before I leave, I asked him like, hey, like, am I going to see you again? Like, am I going to? And Nazi's like, oh yeah, sure, whatever, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, fine. I get sent to my cell, and that's where I meet like my cellmate, uh, Valkini Diaz.
What's his name?
Valkini Diaz.
Valkini?
Valkini, yeah.
Valgini.
Valkini.
Valkeni.
Valkini,
Okay.
yeah.
And where was he from?
He's from Venezuela. Yeah, he spent most of his time in Colombia, but he was coming back across the border to see his family in Venezuela, and that's the way where they arrested him, similar to me. So I see him, and he's like all beat up. He has like multiple gunshot wounds,
Whoa.
missing teeth, like a huge gash from a machete on his in between his neck and shoulder. I'm like, oh, I'm in here with the big dogs. I'm in here with the rough boys, you know.
Oh.
And then I
Why
meet
was
him.
this guy detained if he was Venezuelan?
Everybody is in there detained for the same reason, just being a regular guy. They're filling up that prison. They were filling up that prison with anybody, shawarma cutters, taxi drivers,
So it was
delivery
all people
boys.
that they believed were a threat to the government, or
No,
whatever they
no.
wanted, or they just wanted to.
I think it was split. It was foreigners that they're using to as political pawns,
Right.
you know, and a multitude of random Venezuelans to add some legitimacy to the prison. And then obviously the more bigger ups in there, like the generals, the other people, you know, like one of the guys in there who became a close friend of mine was the son of Maduro's political adversary.
Wow.
His name was Rafael Duartes, and he was in there. He was a real good, nice guy to me, man. Duartes.
Wow.
Yeah, he was in there for a while. He had the yellow jumpsuit, which meant you're going to spend life in there. Blue jumpsuit meant you're stuck in processing, and we'll let you out whenever we feel like. So you're gonna spend some time in there. But the yellow was like, we're never going to let you out.
Shit.
And he was the only yellow guy on the cell block.
Is he still in there?
No, he got out. He got
did?
out. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Thank God. You know,
That's
he got
great.
out.
And
Yeah,
you're still in touch with him?
I talked to his wife.
Wow.
Yeah, he
That's
got
great.
out. But back to
So you're in the
Valkini.
cell.
I'm in the cell. Valkini, coolest guy. I couldn't have asked for a better cellmate. Super clean, and he's annoying. Like, so if you're ever down feeling alone, like he's just gonna bother you, which is like what you need, you know. He was a super annoying guy. He used to annoy the guy across from me, Saeed, who I'm in contact with his wife because he's still locked up. But Saeed would get annoyed and just like put up a towel on his cell. So
he tried to isolate himself.
Yeah.
So Valkini was annoying because he was just talking all the time.
He just talk a lot. And like he was funny. You know, everybody in the prison loved him. He was like the prison mascot. You know, everybody would walk by the cell and chant his nickname. His nickname was Chicho. You know, like little. And he screamed back Chicho. He would scream his own nickname like a Pokemon. You know, so he was like a Pokemon. He was a really funny guy. You know, and everybody loved him. So I wasn't in any sort of trouble with like my cellmate or anything like that.
But when you arrive in prison, what's your state of mind at this point?
Mine is like, nobody knows I'm here. If my family ever like really like realizes that, because I was supposed to make it back for like the family vacation, I missed it. So like then they're gonna realize I'm gone. They probably think I'm dead in the Amazon. You know, they're not gonna think, oh, Venezuelan prison. You know, that's like such. Who would think that? You know. So I was like, I'm a goner. I'm gonna spend some time here. I'm gonna do a bit here. You know, I'm gonna be here a while.
So you're just sort of adapting yourself.
Yeah, I was. I'm gonna be here a minute.
So that's something about you, is that you sort of adapt to whatever situation, whatever the world gives you, life gives you. You're adapting to it.
You gotta adapt. Yeah. Because what else am I gonna do? You know.
So you didn't go into like a full depression and panic mode, thinking, "What the fuck? Nobody even knows I'm here. How am I gonna get out of here?"
Nah, I was worried. I was upset that nobody knew I was here. But I went into panic mode. I was like, all right, they're not gonna kill me. I'm not going to die. They threw me in the cell.
Because at this point, it was just after you thought you were going to be killed. So,
yeah, I'm about to just go through the semantics. You know, I'm about to go through, the protocol, the bureaucracy of everything. You know, I'm going to be here just like these guys, you know, who don't know how long I'm going to be here for. I'm really aggravated because I'm wasting time. That was my main thing. Really aggravated. I was like, how am I going to travel the rest of the world if I'm stuck in prison? You know? So the next day, they bring me out and they start doing like the psychological torture stuff. Bring me out, put me into a white room with Javier. He's my translator, and like the lie detector test guy, right? And it's like me and Javier become really cool. I get to learn a lot about him. Uh, I turns out that Javier was in prison because he was uh, Maduro's like he would construct deals between Maduro and other organizations, illegal organizations like the FARC.
For people who don't know, FARC is the rebel group in Colombia. They had a peace deal with the government a few years ago, but there's still a few members of them out there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've done a story on gold mining and how it was funding FARC back in the day. So we
Sidebar: I have a crazy good
story for me.
gold mining story, but on the other coast, in Guyana. But we can do that later.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
The Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. That's what it stands for, FARC.
I know about the FARC from like watching Narcos, and like about like Pablo Escobar and stuff. Like I thought those guys disbanded in like the 90s, but they were still around. And then I meet Javier, and he's like, "Oh, I administer deals between Maduro and
FARC
and FARC, like other organizations too, but FARC was like the guys that got him in prison. So he administered a deal because Maduro was also drug dealing like crazy. He was administering deals between Maduro and the FARC. Didn't go in Maduro's favor. Maduro was like, "You got to pay for this." Threw him in prison for unsaid amount of time, and that's what he's doing in prison. His family has left. They ended up going to like Holland.
Did he tell you any of the other organizations that Maduro was dealing with?
He did.
Is this guy still in prison?
I think Javier is still in prison. I've been asking questions about him, but I can't get any answers. Like I'm still in contact. Like I'm in tune with like what's all going on down there and stuff.
Yeah, I want to get there. Don't share too much.
Yeah. So I don't know. Javi was my guy. That was like one of my closest friends in there. Because like the things during these tests, like these lie detector tests and stuff, like it's really like a psychological torture. Like they stick all this stuff to like your fingers and like your body and stuff, and then they make you tell lies to like what's it called, baseline the test, right? They're like, all right, you have to tell us like you don't love your father. You have to tell us that you've never fallen in love with anybody. You have to tell us that you don't care about people. Like you have to lie. Like if you do care about your father, you have to tell us that you don't, and you have to lie. And they make you repeat it hours and hours and hours and hours for like, we were in there for like 12 to 16 hours every day, like for 2 days straight, and they make you repeat it. And like when you first do it, you're like, oh, whatever. Like for the first 3-4 hours, you're like, at least I'm not in the cell, right? But then as the hours go on and on, like it starts like to break you down. Like you start to get frustrated and stuff. And like I don't know what sort of lie detector test needs you to, because every time I would tell the truth, they're like, oh, it's not coming back correctly. It's like we have to ask you again. It's like, well, what do you mean it's not coming back correctly? They were like, oh, well, you must be moving your feet. It's like, all right, well, I can stay completely still. You're going to ask me these questions again. It's going to come back poorly, and you're going to blame it on me again. You do this for 16 hours. I leave, come back the next day to have me in there for another 16 hours.
And this is all the spy questioning.
Yeah. So like they would start out, the baselines were like, you have to lie about your dad and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they would ask me stuff like, are you working with the U.S.? Are you working with any sort of foreign intelligence? Are you working, to cause harm towards Venezuela? Are you doing anything to cause harm towards President Maduro, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Are you a terrorist and stuff like that? And that's why I need Javier there, because like this is stuff like I've never encountered in my life. Like I don't know what this. I don't even know what you're asking me. Like I've never even come across these words. So how in between these rounds, like me and Javier were talking. That's how I got to know him, got to know about his family and stuff like that. And we became close. They put me back in my cell. The next day, they're like, all right, well, you got to sign this paperwork. I'm like,
this is after the 2 days.
After the 2 days, yeah. So I think this is like
psychological torture. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I've been in Rodeo now for about 3 days.
Okay.
All in all. So it's like my 4th day in Rodeo. They're like, all right, man, you got to sign this paperwork. I'm like, I'm not signing anything. Like, why do you want me to sign? Like, I was like, what do you mean sign paperwork? Like, like for what? Like, I don't trust you guys. Like, you guys told me I was going home like last week, like a week ago by now, Yeah. They were signing it like this. It's for you. And I was like, dude, I'm not signing anything. And like, it was just me. And like, by this point, like I had Javier with me every single day. I was like doing stuff like this. I was like, and he wasn't there. I was like, oh, bring Javi in. So they were like, all right, they sent me back to my cell. I'm in there for like an hour. They bring me back out, and Javi's there this time. And I'm like, yo, Javi, should I sign this paperwork? And he's like,
Tell you what to do.
I can't tell you. He's like, um, he's like, this paperwork kind of doesn't mean anything. Like, if you sign it, you sign it. But if you don't, like, it's pretty much for them to like add a legitimacy to their stuff. But it's not going to do anything for you, whether you sign it or not. And there was like 2 or 3 women in there, and like they had obviously working with DGCIM, but they were in plain clothes, and I was like, all right. I kind of have like this bad thing where like I could like trust women a lot. So it's like, okay, like I'm talking to them. They're like, just, sign it. It's not going to harm you. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, Javi, did you get your cigarettes? Because he was asking for cigarettes for like days, because he was helping me to get cigarette breaks, They had never given him his cigarettes, and he was like, oh, the leader, the director of the prison he's my friend, but he's just so crazy. I was like, Javier, he's not your friend. He's like, he's not gonna get you your cigarettes, dude. Like, I was like, I don't know how to tell you, like, you've been here for all these years. He's like, oh yeah, he will. He's like, he's crazy, but he's still my friend. Because Javi was a political guy with Maduro, so like he knows this guy. He knows the guy who runs the prison. I was like, that's not your friend, dude. But I was like, all right, Javi, today I'm not signing this unless you get your cigarettes. I get to use a real bathroom, and I get to talk to like somebody from like the U.S.
Good.
And Javi was like, Javi translated that, and they were like, all right, we'll do that for you, So I was like, all right, cool. They bring Javier away, and like I made like the stupid mistake of like signing the paperwork before I actually got those things, So I signed the paperwork, and they bring me back. I'm like, all right, I'm about to go use a real bathroom, and like I know it's like I'm on my way back to my cell. So like I start like fighting the guards like on the way back to my cell. So like I'm in the middle of like cell block A1 fighting the guards in front of everybody, right? They're beating my ass. But there's like 4 of them, like just me, right? They throw me back in the cell, and I'm just like, I'm pissed. Like now I'm really aggravated, right? Like I'm not like even Valkini was like, he's I gotta let this guy cool down. Like this is something else,
Right.
So like, I'm trying to tell in chronological order. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Because there's some stuff I missed, but like there was a time going back to like trusting the women in there. There was the psychologist that they have there. She was like masked up like all the other guys. But I was just like, how can you be a psychologist and like work in this place? Like, how can you ask a man? So tell me about like what's upsetting you, like while you're part of the thing that's upsetting him. You're part of the system. That's you literally have all these innocent men in here, taken off the street, and you're gonna ask me like, oh, why are you upset today? Well, I don't know, maybe because you have me in prison, I haven't done any crime, haven't been convicted of any crime, So I was like, I remember questioning her about that, and she like couldn't like grasp like what I was saying. Like she couldn't understand like how she was a part of the system, and how like
how that was a conflict of interest.
Exactly, And like you met so many people in there like that, like have bought so far into the system that they don't even realize like that they're doing something completely, stupid. Or just like, yeah, I guess stupid's the right word to use, right? And another thing that upset me so much about that prison too was, although DGCM was like the guards asking me all these questions and stuff like that, the actual guards in the prison were part of this organization called SESMAS. They were the guys that ran that prison. And all the SESMAS agents were like 18 and 19 years old, and then like there would be a select few of like the older guys, like the guys that like actually run stuff. But like these kids, imagine being a grown man, in your 40s in prison for no reason. And you have a 19-year-old, either beating you or like, treating you like, subhuman, or just in control of you in general, know.
Yeah, so these kids aren't even mature enough to be in that situation themselves. Yeah,
not at all. It was so humiliating. I got so angry with that. But anyway.
And you were never able to then get your call to your
No,
family?
never got. Of course not. The next day after all that happened, they bring me into a a different room, and they have a laptop there. This is the trial. A lot of other people you'll talk to had this trial where they bring in the judge.
And you're saying trial in parentheses because it's
Because
not
it's
an
not a
actual
trial,
It's a
you know.
fake. Yeah.
So you have the judge there, and he's like this gaudy guy with like Cartier buffs, and like buffs are like Cartier framed glasses made of buffalo bone, I think, right?
I remember now that you're in fashion, so you know what that is, and I don't. Yes.
A Prada white puffer, just so gaudy, you know.
Wait, that was the judge.
This was the judge, and then the camera pans over to the guy who's your lawyer, and this is like, you know the joke in the U.S. where it's like you get the state-appointed lawyer, you got a traffic ticket, next thing you know you're facing 20 years in jail.
Yeah.
This was this guy, like blue jeans, like blazer too big for him, like beer gut hanging over the belt, black t-shirt, like with stains on it, you know, not ungroomed. I was like, oh man, I'm going to be here a while, you know. And then they're talking in like very, very complex Spanish back and forth to each other. This is like my trial. And then they bring in a translator, different guy. It's not Javier anymore. I later find out when I go through the PISA program here in the U.S., it's this guy named Maduro, but I didn't know his name. He was brought in as my translator, but was never allowed to say anything to me. But it turns out, like I picked up on a few things. They're not charging me being a spy anymore. They're trying to charge me with being a terrorist. Yeah, because I think to be a spy, you have to like they have to prove some sort of affiliation with some sort of government or something, right?
And they couldn't find any proof.
No, of course not. I'm not a spy.
Because you're not a spy.
You know.
And so the barrier was less for being a
because you had guys in there for terrorism for having like a photocopy machine in their house. You know, the guy I was telling you about, Rafael Duartes, he was in there because he had a photocopy. Obviously, he was in there because who his father-in-law was, but he was in there because he had a photocopy and fax machine in his house, and they said he used that to put propaganda on the internet about Maduro.
So a terrorist, like a domestic terrorist.
Yeah, like a domestic terrorist type of
That's
thing.
what they were accusing you of, like trying to destabilize the government.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, or any sort of thing along the lines of that. Right. It was just an umbrella term to keep me in prison. Yeah. So they're like, yeah, we're gonna keep you in here, bud. You know, until we finish the case, basically. So they threw me in prison. And I haven't seen the light of day since originally going to DGCIM. Yeah. You know, I was never allowed off my cell block, obviously, because they originally thought I was a spy. You know.
So in that sham trial, you were found guilty then.
Basically.
Yeah.
Not found guilty, but found of needing deeper investigation. You know, because I was in the blue suit. If you're in the blue suit, you're basically stuck in there for this pseudo amount of time where they're still investigating. Remember the process. Everybody's going through processing, you know, but it's not processing. They're just keeping you in there. They're not even thinking about, you know, running any sort of investigation on you. You know, it's all a sham. So throw me into cell, and you know, this is I'm just one of the guys now. You know, talking to all the guys and everything like that. You know, being constipated because the food was so bad.
What was the food?
Bread and cheese, basically, or potato cake and cheese every single day. No vegetable, no fruit. You had to get a special dietary plan for that. So you had to be able to visit the infirmary to get that. I was never allowed to visit the infirmary.
But you were in a cell with another man. With
Valkini.
And you both had beds.
Yeah. We had so this place was better than DGCIM being in solitary. Obviously, still hell, but I had a bed, I had water and food. You know.
What do the days look like? Tell me a typical day.
Wake up, just sit in the cell, get some food, and that's it. You see the other guys go out to the yard, and you just stay in the cell.
You didn't have yard time?
No.
Why not?
I wasn't allowed. I had a yard time one day, and I went out, and I got to see all the people I was talking to yelling down the hall and stuff. But I saw it was this craziest thing. It was the most brazen, like, Christian nationalist propaganda that you can get. You had Jesus Christ's face on a billboard right above the yard, and it said something like, "God is with Sesmas." the guards in the prison.
Oh, wow.
I was like, ain't no way. Like they're using, because obviously Latin America is such a religious region,
Christian,
Christian region. It's like either using like this religious propaganda to like
on their side.
On their side,
they're on the side
I
of,
was like,
good.
oh man, like this is so like you can't even write that in a book. Like like that's such like a Orwellian type of situation.
Can you explain to me? So everybody else was allowed on the yard, but you were not.
I was allowed out on the yard just once on New Year's Eve.
Why is that? Why weren't you?
I think like is either you had to serve like a certain amount of time to go out on the yard, but I had already served that time there, and I still wasn't allowed out there on the. So they were like, dude, they think you might be a spy, so like that's why they're not allowing you out.
Were you the only American there?
On my cell block, yeah, I was the only like born and raised American there. But I gotta get to that some other stuff with that too. There was other like Venezuelan Americans, Cuban Americans and stuff like that, Colombian Americans, I think Panamanian Americans, yada yada yada. But one day, like I get like really upset because I look out my cell like while they're bringing out all the other guys and I'm still stuck in there. Like I see like it's just a bunch of kids, and like all the guys come back from the yard. I'm like, yo, Raphael, I need you to translate this, and like I just like go on a rant about like, guys, like we're stuck in here, like we're all grown men. And we let these kids control us, the literal kids, 18, 19 years old, control us, tell us when we can go outside. I watch grown men beg for coffee, these like a grown man begging a kid for coffee. The kid's like, no, I'm not giving you coffee, while he's pouring coffee for everybody, going and like begging for fruit, come on. Like, I was like, we gotta stand up for ourselves a little bit. I was like, by this time, like they'd already seen me get beat a couple of times. Like there was a couple of times like I got beat with like broomstick on the subway, dumped with water. I was like, you guys see me getting beat. I was like, I ain't got nothing to lose. Like nobody knows I'm here. Like y'all, like I can't like fight this fight on my own. Like we gotta like this, like I'm in Venezuela. Like, I'm visiting your country. Like
so
I'm here with y'all.
You were trying to sort of start
some
sort of rebellion or something.
We see. So the foreigners were known in that prison for doing that. The guys on C1, the guys on B1, all the Yemenis guys, all the Middle Eastern guys, a lot of the European guys, all these guys. Like you're always hearing these guys get constantly rowdy, and like while they're getting rowdy, I'm like, yeah, it's our time. It's our time. Like it's our time. Like, I used to say that, and like they'd be like, nah, like we can't do. Like the Venezuelans were very afraid of like the what would happen, but like the Middle Easterners were all the time. You hear about the Middle Eastern, like they would get rowdy, and then like if they got like really sad, like they were known to like hang themselves, like they were known to like go like because it was like they want their freedom, and the Venezuelan guys, they were like, we're not on that, I was like, okay, but it makes sense. Like when you're under like a regime, when you're under a totalitarian government like that, like you get conditioned in ways, and like they had like all those sort of ways to like get you to like not revolt, like like selling each other out for like sandwiches, hamburgers, that sort of stuff.
Also, not to forget that a lot of these people have families out there,
yeah,
right? So they're probably worried about their families if they don't follow the rules, right? If something happens, if they decide to go against the authority, maybe what happens to their families.
Exactly. So like it was always like that. It was like a contrast between the Venezuelan nationals and the foreigners, the way we all behaved. So I said all that, and then this guy who was telling me about his father and how he's going around all these soccer stadiums advocating for him and stuff. He was like, guys, don't worry. He's like, I'm famous. Like, I'm gonna get us out of here. Very like white messiah, like, savior, like. And I was like, stop telling these people this. Like, you're not gonna get us out of here. Like, you giving us all this hope for no reason. Like you're lying to us. You're in here with us. Like, you're like nobody knows. Like you're in here, dude. Like, you need to stop that. Like you're giving us all this false hope. And some time goes by. Around the time like Maduro got captured, first of all the information we got in there, we got it really late, and all the information we thought was gold was like actually shit. So we didn't know Maduro got captured until like maybe a week afterwards.
So just to backtrack a little bit.
Mhm.
So this was this past January. You've been there for how long?
At that point, it's been there for I had been taken for about a month at that point.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you've been there for about a month, and then you guys
from when we found out, but maybe about 3 weeks from when he got captured.
and you guys hear that suddenly that President Maduro, who's the president of this, at this point for you, very big, scary regime that you know is doing terrible things to people, human rights violations left and right, totalitarian regime, and suddenly you find out he's been captured.
Right.
Like who told you and what was what was
So
going through?
first, we didn't know the bombings and stuff were the same night he got captured. So we heard about the bombings first, and we thought it was Colombians. That prison's far enough out that we couldn't hear the bombs. So we were just like, oh my God, please let it be Colombians. Like maybe like Colombians will come bomb this place, like free us. I end up in like Bogota, and I had to figure out how to get home from there, right? And we were thinking that for like maybe a week until we found out Maduro got captured. We thought it was a different day. We thought Maduro, the day we found out, we thought he got captured that day. Because
You're hearing the bombings?
no,
from the
we can't.
prison?
We can't.
You
We're
can't
so
hear
far
anything.
away.
Yeah.
You know, that's why we didn't know Maduro got captured until like a week afterwards.
Right.
So we find out like because guards will listen to TikTok, and stuff like that. So we're like, all right, so we can get like information that way, and like, but by the time it gets to you, it's like nothing.
But you
know?
still don't know who had captured the Maduro.
No,
You're thinking
no.
Maybe
So-
it's Colombians.
So the information we got, even when I got out, the information that they were spewing to everybody was Maduro got captured at the airport. He got like agents came in to get him at the airport. That's where they got him, and they got him like fighting back and everything. I didn't know he got captured in his bedroom, you know, until like I got on the plane with the DEA and the State Department.
And at what point did you learn that it was the Americans who had captured him?
Around then,
Only then.
yeah. Well, because they didn't tell us. They're not going to tell us information, you know. So we had to figure out ways to get our information. Like a guards on TikTok. Some people could hear the streets, and like there was like protesters outside the prison. So like if you're high enough up, you can hear the streets, and they'll be like, hey, you know, this is what happened, you know. So like that's one way, but then that also has to get through the prison before it gets to you. So it's like you don't know what to trust and what not to trust. And all the time, this guy is claiming that planes are flying over playing Scottish rebellion music, Scottish war music, and he said he can hear people in the streets chanting his name, and like all this sort of stuff.
This is the guy that
This is the guy-
promised that
right.
he's going to be able to get everybody out because he's very famous.
Yeah.
And
You know, and so I'm like trying to play detective like in my cell, because I'm like, if this guy's telling the truth, like this is really good for us. Like we really need this, you know. But if he's lying to us, you know, this is like just feeding us false hope, you know. So I'm talking to my cellmate who was there, like one of the longest people there. I was like, hey, can you hear the streets from here? He was like, you can, but you have to be in certain cells. You know, you have to be like up high, like in one of the A building or B building. It can't be B building, because B building up high is where they torture you, you know. So it has to be coming from A building. So I was like, okay. I was like, did you hear any planes or anything like playing music? He's like, that's not real, dude. He's like, whatever he's telling you, he's lying. He's like, none of that stuff was going on. And I was like, all right. My cellmate was the one that brought the information back to the cell block about the bombings. Obviously, it was wrong. He said it was Colombians. I was like, who gave you the information? He was like, it was the guy. I was like, where's he from? He was like, he's from this country, same country as the guy that
the delusional guy.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, maybe they got some sort of messaging situation going on here in the prison, right? And I was like, all right, well, what cell block's he on? He was like, he's on B1. I was like, can you hear the streets or anything from B1? He was like, nah. I was like, so where is he getting this information from? I was like, there's no way this information's real. And then you could tell when he started losing, I guess, favorability with the guys on the cell block, because when we found out Maduro did get captured, and like all the guys, like we're all having fun, like we're cursing and everything like that. This delusional guy has the nerve to say, he was like, you know, when we get out of here, you guys have to be aware. Some of us are going to be on TV. He's like, and you can't be out here cursing on TV and making us look bad, like we're degenerates and we're criminals. And then that's when I was like, and he said that in English, but then I was like, this up this all right. I don't want to say this is gonna be embarrassing, but uh, I said to them in Spanish. I was like, oh, you can say whatever you want. I was like, if you want to say pussy, you can say pussy. If you want to say fuck, you can say fuck. Like the words I can only I know in Spanish, right? And I was like because you're free. Tu tengo libertad. Tu habla
Mhm.
todo. You
So
know
you'll be able to be free. We'll be able to say whatever we want because
exactly,
we'll be free.
exactly. And like everybody chanted, he got so upset with that. You know, I didn't hear anything from like since then. Um, and then eventually, like when I did get free, like I had to like research him. I was like, well, if this guy was telling the truth, he was lying the whole time.
So do you think he was just
There you go.
what?
No,
You
exactly
know
what
what
you're
I was
gonna say.
gonna
I know exactly what you're gonna say. Yeah.
He was just trying to make himself important inside the prison so people would like him and do favors for him
Oh no,
and
no.
pretend that he was going to be
No, no, no.
releasing everybody or what?
No, I think it's just like just the mental psychosis of being in jail.
Oh, poor guy.
You know, and then also, you know, sometimes like people just need that hope too. You know,
Yeah.
people even if it's not helping us, it's helping him in a lot of ways. You know, I think he just needed that hope, needed to feel like somebody was out there to help him.
Help him.
You know,
They
that's
were
why I don't.
moving the
Yeah,
world to try and get him out of there. Yeah.
right. You know, that's why I don't want to like use his name or like say
Right.
where he's from or anything
Right.
like that. You know, because he was like going through stuff.
Yeah.
You know, his cellmate was never in the cell.
Mhm.
He was somewhere else, which I don't want to say his name either because he was going through some stuff that none of us on the cell block knew, and I didn't know until I got out and I was talking to other guys from other cell blocks what was going on with him.
Mhm.
You know, so he was in there alone.
Yeah.
You know,
Which is as hard as already it is
Yeah.
with us being alone. Can you tell me what the prison looked like? So you said there's different cell blocks, right? There's different sort of towers.
I was always masked up when I was brought out, so I can't really tell
So
you.
all
what
you
it
know
looked
about the
like.
prison is the cell that you were in,
Yeah.
and then the common area, the food area, like the cantina. Did you guys?
No, they bring the food to the cell. That's why I was
So you
never
don't know
never
anything.
out of my cell.
And was it dirty? Was it loud?
Oh yeah, of
What
course.
was
Like
it
we had a termite and lice and tick infestation in the cell, and like it was bad. Like they always had to shave our heads, shave our faces, and everything, so we didn't like get lice or anything.
And did you get tick bites all over?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like you would like squeeze them and like the blood would come out of the tick. You know. I got like very badly sick. Like had like when I got out and like went through like the reentry program here in the U.S. Like had like all these parasites and everything. I got like very badly sick where like all the guys on the cell block were looking out for me. Senior Edgar had like Pepto-Bismol. He gave it to me.
That was food poisoning.
I'm
Or
pretty sure
think-
it
or
was
maybe-
Giardia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Giardia. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And so tell me about the moment that everything sort of, so you're at this, so you're still, several weeks have passed.
Yeah.
You're sort of adapting to this new reality. Are you hopeful? Are you thinking this is going to be this is going to be several more months, or what's your mental state?
You kind of like just get into the swing of things. Like me, my cellmate, you know, we were playing dominoes.
I mean, would you?
one of
This
the- one of the-
such a crazy scenario. Like, were you crying? Were you? I mean,
Yeah. If anybody tells you they've been to prison, weren't crying, they're lying. Like
Yeah.
like we were all crying in there. We were all crying. You know, every last one of us. You know, we just get in a cell, start crying. You know, I was crying. Kenny was crying. Saeed across from me was crying. Everybody was crying.
Would you openly cry in front of each other, or were you hiding? while you were crying?
Sometimes, like when there was a day when the leader of the DGC, he had made an announcement after for some reason, like when Trump was like taking over all the embargoes and stuff, he was like I'll kill all the prisoners before I let them go. And like
Wow.
and then Senior Edgar was like I believe him. And like we were all like, oh man.
Yeah.
Because we looked up to Senior Edgar for like everything. You know, he had like such a like a great and great family. Like
Which one is Senior Edgar?
he was like the short guy that did all the prayers and stuff with us. You know, every single night he do a prayer, and very intelligent guy, probably smartest guy on the cell block. Whole family is like academics.
Why was he in there?
Same reason we're all in there.
He's Venezuelan.
He's Venezuelan Panamanian. He came back to visit his family in Venezuela.
And got
Yeah.
arrested.
Yeah, but he's lived in pretty much every country in the Americas.
So once he broke down, you guys...
He didn't break down. He was just really just... I believe him. He'll
gonna
kill
kill
us.
us
Yeah.
all.
And so we were like, well, we're not gonna get out. We're gonna die.
What was the worst moment for you while you were there?
Maybe that. I mean, by the time I got to Rodeo, like it was so much better than being like chained up and beaten at DGCM. But one of the most emotional parts for me was like the day I started to teach my my cellmate how to read. He was looking at a book, looking at pictures, and he would look at the pictures and then carve molds out of toilet paper, like different objects he would see in the book, but he was never really reading the book. And I was like, do you know how to read? I was like, I think I could teach you how to read. Like, it's the same letters as English, and like sounding them out, it's the same way you do English. Like, 10 to 20 times more words of Spanish than I do. If I could just teach you how to like say the word, like you'll know what that word is, So like we carved the alphabet out onto the wall of because we didn't have any paper, but he's in difference, and I can say this now. But he had like a nail that he carved into like, the wall, and like
this is Valkeni?
Valkeni.
Wow.
Yeah. And we had like a book of 100 like science fiction small short stories of like the 20th century or something like that, like the best science fiction stories. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to teach you like how to read, like these are the sounds that you make when you see these letters. But then I realized like he doesn't even know like what the letters are individually.
Wow.
So then I had to teach him the letters individually, and then I like taught him how to put them together, like de, da, do, do, and then like for every letter, and then like I'm like, all right, now do it.
Wow.
Do it when you're not looking, and then like the first night was so emotional for me because I realized he had signed this paperwork to be here in prison, and he didn't even know what it said.
Wow.
And like I broke down. But like the next night, they started calling me like the professor because I was like teaching him every night after tea. We'd start learning. Everybody's like talking shit, getting ready for bed, or trying to sleep because it's so hard to sleep. And they just hear me
Teaching
this guy. I got him to read. He still had trouble reading the science fiction book, obviously, but he was able to read like the rules and regulations posted on the back of our doors in our cell.
Wow.
With help, but like limited help.
Wow.
I was like, so I like 5 or 6 year old level, right?
That's amazing.
I was like, dude, like when you go home now, like you'll be able to like read to your daughter, because he has a daughter and a wife in Colombia. That I was talking about. I was like, hey man, I was like, what are you gonna do when you get out of here? He's like, I'm gonna go back. He's from this island called Margarita. He said, I think I'm gonna like bring my wife and my daughter out to Margarita, and we're gonna live out there with my mom and my dad and stuff.
Wow. So that was a good moment.
Yeah, that was a good moment. That was probably my most emotional moment though.
Like breaking down and realizing what they even did to this guy, like the idea that they've done this to you, but here's another guy who doesn't even know how to read and write and signed papers, and is here because...
And he's such a good guy. Everybody loves him. Like, had a hard life, that's his story to tell, but had a hard life, did some things, but he didn't deserve to be in prison, like kidnapped off the street and thrown in prison. And everybody loves him. He was a good guy. He looked out for people,
Wow. And then tell me about the last day. Like, what happened?
Oh, last day of prison?
Yeah.
All right. So last day of prison, the night before, this guy, he had fainted on our cell block, and we thought he died. So we're like making a ruckus on the cell block. We're like, oh, what's going on? Like, we need to, we need to do something, like get a guard out here. Like, they finally get a guard, and they like just drag him out, and then like he's away for a couple hours. They bring him back. He's like, all right, he's safe. But then, me and Valkeni, we're talking, and he's like, man, you can't keep making these ruckuses, man. He's like, your president kidnapped our president. This after we knew and everything.
So at this point, you knew that it was
this is the last day I was in
that
prison.
Had captured Maduro. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was like, yeah, we can't. Sorry, I know I told that wrong earlier when I said I didn't know Trump. I had figured out Trump, but we thought it was Colombians first, and then we found out it was Trump. Sorry about that.
And how did that affect? Did that do anything in prison when you found out? went in?
No, it didn't.
Like they didn't treat you any differently?
No, they started treating us all differently when Maduro got captured. We started giving us cake and stuff.
They started treating you better?
Yeah, they started giving us cake.
So they start treating the foreigners better after Maduro's
all of us, because
Everyone.
it would give it away if they started treating just the foreigners better.
Huh.
But before I got out, people from Spain were getting out. A couple of, like, all the women had gotten out.
There were women prisoners there as well?
Yeah, there's like
together with the men?
40 women prisoners. I think they were on their own somewhere, but they had all gotten out. All the guys from Spain and maybe a couple other countries had gotten out. So
you think the guards realized that the power dynamics were shifting here,
right,
and so they wanted to be on your good side in a way, and
right.
started giving
So
you
we
guys
knew
cake?
something was up, you know. So we were like, all right, we could be getting out of here. Like, this, like, morale started to grow. You know, we're like, all right, things can be looking up from here. You know, it's giving us. So this guy had fainted. We make a ruckus. My cellmate's like, hey, yo, you can't be doing that. You know, your president got caught. Like, they could just take you out here and shoot you. You know, he's like, you gotta relax. And little did I know, he was looking out for me, because since he was like this liaison between the guards and the prisoners, like, he had like information, like the guards would tell him and stuff, because there was whispers that I was gonna get out. You know, like, I'd hear my name, like, you know, that same night, like, one of the, like, middlemen came through. He was like, yo, so how's the cellmate? And he was like, oh, he's good. He's like he behaves. He's like not making a ruckus, like, lying for me, you know. And I was like, what? Why are they talking about me? I knew they were talking about me. I'm either, like, being brought up to be tortured, right, or I'm, like, getting out of here, because we were supposed to, like, me and, like, all the other guys that were making a ruckus, we were supposed to be sent to be tortured, right? And, like, that's B1, where, like, they put, like, they do things to you, like, they like, similar to, like, DGC, like, they chain you up, hands behind the back, but you're naked. And my cellmate had gone through that. The Colombian guy next to me had gone through that, so they were telling me all about that. And I was like, oh fuck, I don't want to go through that. But yeah, so I was like, next day comes, they were like, all right, you know, the director comes to the door, and I'm like, all right, I'm either getting out of here or I'm getting tortured, you know. So I had carved out all the names of the guys on my half the cell block in soap, threw it in my underwear. I was like, I'm either going to get tortured, where if they find the soap, it doesn't matter, I'm going to get tortured anyway. But if I can get out of here, I can, like, contact these guys' families on Facebook. So, like,
so you carved their names on a bar
on
of
a bar of
soap.
soap. Yeah.
How many names did you get in there?
Between a dozen and 2 dozen.
Wow.
On there.
And then
my cellmate across from 1-2. So yeah, maybe about like 14, 15. But I couldn't get the names of the guys further down the hall. Yeah. You know.
So you're just asking people for their full names. Like, give me your first and last name. Let me write this down. Yeah. And then, okay, so then the director comes. The bar of soap is hiding in your
my underwear. They bring me out. They bring me into, like, another room, and, like, I can see from, like, underneath, like, there's a guy, he's chained up, but he's in street clothes, you know. So they take it off, and, like, it's a Cuban guy, and, you know, he speaks English, Cuban American. He speaks English. He's like, hey man, we're getting out of here. I was like, oh, all right. So, like, they bring me somebody else's clothes, like shoes that were too small for me. Like, I put all these clothes on, you know, and they sit us down, and he's like, yeah man, how long you been here? He was like, a year and a month. I was like, oh man. He's like, yeah, you know, he's like, I'm pretty sure I lost my house, my car, and everything. I was like, oh my God, you know. So they take us away in separate cars, but they bring us back to DGCIM, and we're sitting there, and they have all of our stuff. Like, they had, like, his laptop, his bag. They had my bag, my iPad, you know, all my notebooks and everything, and they gave it back to us, and they separate us. And I'm like, oh man. I was like, I don't know what happened, because I haven't seen him since, you know. They bring me to another DGCIM headquarters, and that's when you know, I start talking to the guy about, you know, what happened. He tells me about, like, the bombings. It wasn't Colombians, it was Americans. And then just still telling me that, you know, Maduro was captured at the airport, not in his home. Then I look out the window, and there's another prisoner, but I've never seen this guy before. they put him in a car and they're like, all right, you come with us. Put me in the car too. And they're like, okay, man, we're bringing you to the embassy, right? And I look at the guy, I'm like, I think we're getting out of here, you know? He was like, oh, thank God. I was like, yeah, man. He was like, oh man, I thought I was gonna be tortured. He was like, I thought you were gonna torture me. I was like, do I look like I'm gonna torture you? Like I'm obviously a prisoner, you know? And then we drive out of there, and you know, the guy in the front seat, the military guy, he's like, oh, you know, he's like, man, you know, you guys just come back with like a machine gun, like, or like just like start killing people, like come back with a bomb, like just blow this thing up. And I was like, we were like, what are you talking about? And I was like, dude, I was like, he's saying this in Spanish, right? And then I'm like, dude, you gotta watch out because he speaks English. Like, so whatever we talk about, like, he might be trying to entrap us or something. So we end up not going to the embassy. We end up going to the tarmac for the private jet hangar or something. The DEA is there, State Department's there.
Shit.
Yeah. And then
what was it like when you first saw Americans?
I was like, oh, thank God, you know, like fine, like we're gonna get out of here, you know, because you don't know you're gonna get out of there till you get out of there, you know.
What was your first encounter like? What did they tell you? What did they say?
They're like, you guys are good. Like you guys, we're gonna get you guys home. Then they give us home. They got us out of there, but then they get us home. They just dropped us off in Carousel. And they're like, you can get home from here.
Did you start crying in this moment? Was it emotional for you?
No, I did not cry. I didn't cry or anything. None of us cried. It was me, him, and then a guy with his whole family there. So I was in Rodeo under Sesmos, DGCIM. The guy I had met in the car, he was under a completely different organization called GOES.
Which is another group.
Yeah, in a military base, like hangar, you know, being tortured, electrocuted, sprayed with like pesticides, like in like a mask. Because he had Venezuelan American, moved back to Venezuela, started a business. They were trying to extort money out of him, you know. So that's how they were trying to get it. And then there was a third guy who just stayed in DGCM headquarters for his entire time there. He was in there less time than I think both of us.
I was stuck in Niger in a coup d'etat, in a military coup for like 9 days. And the moment that we were rescued and taken out on a plane, my whole team was like crying and hugging. So that's why I was asking you. And you were there for
like a month
and a half, and you were beat and tortured and
none of us cried. Like not me, not the guy in GOES, not the guy at DGCM headquarters. Like we were just like really happy to get out of there, you know.
Were you laughing? Were you like so happy? Yeah, were you so happy?
Yeah. Funny thing is, when I was in there, we didn't even get each other's names. Like that's so bad. But like I was in the car with the guy from GOES. Like the first thing we said to each other, like after he was like, "Oh, you're not here to torture me." We looked at each other and like at the same time, like we said, yo, they beat the shit out of me at the same time. Like it was like I was like, I don't even know, like in sync, you know.
And what about to the DEA agents, and who are the other ones you said?
It was DEA. So State Department did like the mission, but like I feel like they have to like take planes from other people to like, or like they might need like
agencies. They might need other
like
agencies.
backup or something, because like they're just like guys in suits. So like they've had the DEA for our thing.
And so you went, who took you on the plane then?
A DEA and State Department. It was like a DEA plane.
Together.
DEA plane, State Department guys, and a couple of DEA guys there. Everybody, all the DEA guys are from New York, which was crazy. That was insane. So
were they asking you what the fuck happened to you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
They were saying they beat me.
Yeah.
You were telling them
all the stuff. You know, all of us were telling our stories and everything like that.
Did anyone give you a hug?
I don't think so. I think I got a couple of handshakes, a lot of handshakes. But I was like, oh, thank God I'm out here. Like, I thought it was like under wraps. I was like, probably nobody knows about this. You know, I was like, kind of embarrassing to be kidnapped. Like, that's my big thing. Like, I'm pretty embarrassed, you know, that I got kidnapped. Like, that's kind of embarrassing, you know.
You were detained by the government.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, because it's such a big thing. Like, everybody's like, oh, you know, you're putting yourself, you're in danger every country you go to, you know. And it's like, I'm gonna be fine.
And your family had told you many times that this was dangerous, what you were doing. And
yeah, going to different countries and everything. Like, but like, it's like so embarrassing, you know. Like, kids get kidnapped, you know. But like, I was so embarrassed by it.
And then you land, and who was there?
They tell me on the plane, they're like, "All right, guys, well, you're famous. You're all over the New York Times and stuff." And I was like, "Oh man."
But had your story come out already? On
Yeah,
the Times?
it already been out. It was like all over, like the Guardian, New York Times, and everything.
They interviewed you while you were still in Venezuela?
No, they were like families and
okay, before
my
they
family
interviewed
members
you.
and
Right.
like friends and stuff like
Right.
that.
Because I only read your story when you were actually interviewed, not before.
Afterwards,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so you land, and who was waiting for you?
Nobody. They dropped us off in Carousel, at like the Marriott, you know, like five-star resort.
In New York?
No, in Carousel, in the country
Curacao.
Curacao,
Okay, yeah,
sorry.
Curacao.
Say
I don't know how to say it either. Curacao, yeah.
Yeah, it's Curacao. Yeah, I said it wrong. But they dropped us off at like this 5-star resort, and they're like, "Well, we're staying here, guys. You guys can stay here too if you can afford to stay here, you know." but you know, they were
they
like
joking?
No, they were for real. Apparently, I knew this from like my time in Panama. Like when I like lost all my stuff and like needed to get home, like they'll pay for it to get home, but then they take your passport, and then you're in debt to the government, so you have to pay the government back before you can get your passport back. So they were like, this is much easier, you know, to you know, to be dropped off in this country and then make your way home from here.
So you had to figure out a way how to get from Curacao to the US.
But my luckily,
that
like when I got there,
seems insane to me.
Yeah, I know, but
I mean, if anything, it is the obligation of your country to, when you get in trouble abroad because you are American, to bring you back home
which
safely.
they will do. But they were like, it'll just put you in a lot of trouble if we do that. You know, not like financial trouble. Like you can't get your passport back till you pay the government back because it's like a loan. They give you a loan.
But they shouldn't. I mean, this should be part of being an American. That's why you pay taxes for situations like this. You were detained primarily because you were an American.
Yeah.
This is crazy to me.
It's okay though, because like my aunts had paid to stay 2 nights at this resort, and I was like, I kind of needed this before going back to see my family.
Right, you needed your time just by yourself.
I was good. It was me. It was one of the other guys. He spent the night there and going home the next day. Another guy was with his family, so he went to a different resort with them on the island. It was good. It was good to stay there.
Okay.
Broke down, cried like a baby in the shower. You know, the second night though, the first night I pulled my bar of soap out of my underwear and like just looked up all the names on Facebook. Insanely hard to do because I don't know what any of the guys look like. I just know what they sound like in their names because I never got to see their faces. You know, they're all like, I got to see Valkeni, so I know what he looks like. Got to add his sister on Facebook, talk to her.
Oh, right. That's crazy. I forgot. Like you had written these guys' names down, but you didn't actually, you hadn't
never seen
many
their
of their
faces.
You just heard their voices and you became friends with them and connected to them only from hearing their voices across the hall. Yeah, that's so crazy. And your intention, you wanted to write their names because you wanted to let them know they're okay, that their families know that they were okay.
Let them know they're okay. Saeed, I've been talking to Saeed Awada, his guy who was across from me. Yeah, talking to his wife all the time.
He's still in prison.
He's still in prison. He's still in Rodeo. Valkeni just recently got moved to Yade.
Because none of these people can communicate with their families.
No, but now Valkeni can because he's in Yade.
Yeah, but while they're in Rodeo.
Rodeo is like the top, like no
communication with the
outside.
outside.
Yeah.
Wow. Did they ask you to do that, or was that something that you thought, I'm going to take?
Dude, so while this guy was like doing the Messiah thing, I was telling him, I was like, listen, I can't promise I could help out in any way, but I could try. You know, I could try to help you guys out. And then just through like meeting all these other guys that got out of prison, like I've been able to help like a lot of other prisoners too, like contact their families with like media so they could get eyes and ears on on their stories, stuff like that.
So the first day you're out, you're in this resort and you go online to try and figure out who the family members are and how you can get in touch with them. Yeah. That is pretty incredible.
Thank you.
That is amazing. I don't think most people would probably just want to, do everything but have to think about their time in prison that day,
I was like, I couldn't tell that to them and then like not do it. That's just wrong,
So you felt like an obligation to do something.
Especially like being American, like everybody's like, oh, let's hear the American story. Like nobody's like, oh, let's hear this Venezuelan guy's story. Oh, which one do we choose? There's hundreds of them. There's thousands of them. Nobody's like doing that. So I was like, I can help out and get these guys' story out there. So
you felt like you were privileged in
Oh, for
the
sure.
middle of all that tragedy and despair. There was a privilege.
Yeah, I
You
mean, there's
had
still
that
guys in there
opportunity.
just because they're from a country that doesn't, you know, I don't want to say care, but isn't like really looking for them. Like when I got out, like I was like contacting Saeed's embassy and everything because he's Lebanese Peruvian. Um, so I was like contacting Peru, but his wife was like, I think you should contact the Lebanese embassy. And I call them up. They're like, oh yeah, call up the embassy in Venezuela. I'm like, yeah, as if
Yeah.
that's gonna help.
Right. So
You know,
nobody's trying to get them out.
no. So I'm worried about that.
Mhm.
You know, I'm really worried. You know, about the guys that are from, I guess, the countries with the weaker passports. You know,
Yeah.
so
And then what was your return like when you finally arrived in New York? Who was waiting for you?
so my aunt had like, she was like, just we're not gonna go to the airport to get you. We're going to like send a car for you and like just drive you home. And like that's what happened. Yeah.
And then you got home and she was there
Got
waiting
home,
for
she
you?
was there breaking down, crying and everything. You know.
What
So
did
yeah.
it feel like for you?
I was just like, I'm home, you know. Thank God I'm out of there. Thank God time's not wasted anymore. You know. That was my big thing. I was just like, I'm just wasting my life in the cell for no reason. All these guys just we're all wasting our lives in here. We didn't do nothing. This isn't crime and punishment. This is just imprisonment for no reason.
James, how old are you?
28.
It's funny, you're 28 and you're in such a rush to live at the same time, right? There's a feeling that you spent a horrendous 1 month, but what was worrying you mostly was the waste of time and all the places you still want to visit.
Yeah.
And how you were, this was just wasting your time, stopping you, preventing you from going and exploring all those places. And you're still so young, you know.
But you only get, one go around, So
I mean, I'm saying rush to live is not a bad thing. I think it's good to be restless. So there was never a moment I think once people go through traumatic events like this, I mean, particularly for the family members back home, right, that worried so much about you. Again, my experience does not compare at all with yours, but just the fact that I was sort of stuck in a place, which in my case was Niger, was stuck there without my control of being able to get out. I didn't know when I was going to be able to get out of there. But people often ask me, when you were there and you're going through this, were you thinking that you will never want to travel again? So I'm going to ask you the same question. Did it ever cross your mind like, this sucks and I don't ever want to be in a foreign land again?
No, I was like, I kind of don't want to be stuck in this foreign land because I want to go to a different foreign land,
right.
Like this is like, it's not. I feel like that's so like defeatist,
I think people take trauma different ways,
Right, but I mean more so from the people asking the question, like
yes, but I would say that if it's a family member that is concerned about you and is wanting you not to do this to them again, right? They have every right to do so, right?
Yeah, that's different. That's why, like, I think this podcast might be the way I'm like breaking it to my family that I haven't told them that I plan to travel again.
Really?
No, because like you said, it's so hard to, process that. You know, I think a lot of people like live very fearfully for like what the world has out there. Because, like I said, like I'll name a country and like oh, don't go there. That's a dangerous place, And it's like, it's not, but it can be.
Yeah, I agree with you. And when I was filming all these years, filming Trafficked and the other work that I've done in these black markets and going to these like, dangerous places around the world, I never wanted the message to be about how the world is a dangerous place. I want the message to be about no matter how far you travel or how far away from your own comfort you travel, that you're still going to find incredible people and you're still going to be able to connect on a human level with people that are completely different from you and have nothing in common with you, right? And that's what's so beautiful about the world we live in. Right. And that's what I love about traveling too, right? But I do think also that there's something, like they say that you especially grow when you're stepping outside your comfort zone, right? Doing something every day that makes you feel a little uncomfortable is actually good for you. It actually makes you grow and learn more about yourself and the world around you, right?
No, I think so too, yeah.
So you still feel that way, obviously. You still want to travel, and there's nothing that has prevented you from wanting to do that, to continue?
Yeah, like I feel like I don't want this experience to like change the way I view the world.
Hmm.
I do feel like if I'm just in a random like small town in some country like that, there's something there, like a story to tell there, or at least something to see. Like there's people that are around. Like there's something to experience
Mhm.
there,
And learn. Yeah.
and learn. Yeah.
Yeah. So what has this experience taught you think?
Not nothing. This no, I've learned nothing. Definitely the other
Well-
side of it. The other side of,
Well, what has it taught you about yourself, I guess, is the question.
Just another Tuesday for me. Sometimes I felt like that in prison though. I was like, I would be the one out of all my friends to end up in a Venezuelan prison. Like this is so fitting for me. I was like, I was like stuck in quicksand, helped the guy, saved the guy from quicksand before. I was in a refugee camp. Like this is all just
Part of the experience.
yeah, I'm doing my, Indiana Jones impression, I guess. I'm Laura Croft or something, unfortunately. But no, being in there, like it showed me the other side of like, I guess the danger of everything. It's like, it's a difference of like knowing the danger's there and actually experiencing the danger there, So it's like, this is like my experience to be like, experience the other half of it.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know if you were like when you travel, like if you do like hostels or anything, but every negative story you hear in a hostel of like somebody's misfortune, it's always like, I met this guy at this hostel who told me the story of this other person that knows this guy that experienced something really bad,
So you always felt like it was
so far
6 degrees separation,
exactly.
that it wasn't something that was going to happen to you. But you still haven't answered. What did you learn about yourself from this experience? Like, was there stuff?
I guess I can go through it. Like if I have to go through it, like if I'm forced to go through it, I can go through it. I'm not going to break, and like I'm not going to sell out my cellmates for hamburgers and fries, and really be in solidarity with the guys that are around me, which I think I had gone through before, like during like the protests and pandemic, like back in 2020, where like the cops were beating me, arrested me, and all that sort of stuff. And I was just right back out with solidarity with the guys, like not at home, just like being in the streets with them. And I carried that same energy into like the prison. I was like, hey guys, if you guys see C1 and B1 revolting, like if when it's your turn, like I'm here with y'all. Like if you guys want to fight back, even if they just beat us, throw us back on ourselves, like just show some sort of being alive. Like I'll be right here with you guys, and
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that has most surprised me about this conversation is your resiliency. Is you can see you're resilient, but even like psychologically, like you've gone through a lot, and I know it was very recent, but still, the way that you're able to talk about it, yeah, I think just shows how resilient you are. Like you can take a punch.
thanks.
And then the fact that at the end, the first thing you did when you got out was actually trying to figure out how to make life better for the people on the inside is pretty special.
Thank you.
It's true. I hope you know that. I don't think most people would do that. I think it's pretty special.
I think we would do that. I think most people would. I hope we would. I've been helped a lot in my travels, and I think and I just try to help it as much as I can, as much as I've been helped. I've been helped a lot through life,
Yeah.
So
your family doesn't know you're going to travel again. When are you traveling again?
No, we need to edit that out, guys. Okay.
We're not editing that out. It's a great moment. When are you traveling again?
I'm trying to just save up some money to go to Morocco. So maybe, hopefully, like by like mid to late spring. So pretty soon.
Yeah.
I was
right back out there.
I was thinking April, but it's a little too soon.
Yeah.
A little too soon. Yeah.
And one more thing, only you did a reintegration program here,
Yeah.
right? Like, what was it? They gave you therapy and just to help you readjust, or what was it?
First of all, great program. Like if I could be like an advocate for like, the PISA program, like for returning hostages and prisoners, so good.
Really?
So good. You fly down to Texas, and they bring you through every single medical procedure that they can to like test you out, like test things on you and stuff like that, see what's wrong with you physically, and then they do the same thing for like your mental, and they just like they do it in this way where like they just set somebody up with you, and you just talk about stuff, process stuff.
Was it helpful?
Oh, super helpful. And they like bring you on like a shopping spree. Like it was cold in Texas, and like we had like all Texas clothes, so they're like, all right, you guys can buy like coats and like sneakers and pants and everything. I'm like, okay, and like a legit shopping spree in like the thing. I was like, wow,
it's pretty cool. And they said that you're still physically, you have some damage on your arms. You said some nerve damage from the chaining and the.
Yeah, I get it. It's not like bad. It's like if you like touch around like my wrists, like I'll feel like electricity from like my tips to like my almost like down to my elbow, and like they were telling me like there's like a singular nerve that like goes through there, so that makes sense. But I can still like make a tight fist, I can still squeeze, I can still do Muay Thai and stuff. I had it.
And you're cleared of all the parasites and all the other stuff that you had.
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
I got like pretty badly sick like last week, and I was like, I went to the hospital, got some more medicine, so hopefully that cleared everything up. But I don't know.
And mentally, you're good.
Yeah, they could have probably tested some drug on me in there. I'm a walking contagion. I don't know.
And you're in touch with all these families, right?
Still, yeah. Not a lot of them. I just can't find it. I have no idea what these guys look like. And there's like
lots of people with the
how
same
many
names. Yeah.
Lenny Rodriguez's are there?
Right.
It's not really possible. But the guys I did find, like I'm talking to my old cellmate's sister. He's got moved to a new prison where he can like communicate, get stuff from her. Talking to the guy across from me, Saeed Awada, talking to his wife all the time. Just trying to get like people to like just know these guys are still in there, and like maybe like try to like help contact embassies, or maybe like somebody of some sort of importance would like see that guy's still in there. Completely innocent guy, by the way. It's not like these guys committed any crimes. Maybe that can help out. I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Well, James, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on The Hidden Third.
Thank you for having me.